Fact is, a lot of people who shop for homes would actually be better off renting.
I've been renting for the whole 20 years since I came to Switzerland.
We're helping every American find their path to the American dream.
Owning a home is a part of that dream.
My main incentive for wanting to buy property is to stop throwing away money every month on rent.
Buying a home gives you freedom.
No, it doesn't. When you rent, you can move whenever you want. But after you buy, you're sorta stuck.
You're forgetting that owning a home makes financial sense. I am sick of paying rent to some landlord.
$175,000. That's how much my down payment would be if I were to purchase this very house in New York City. And if I were to rent this exact same house, it would cost me $4,800 per month. Now, as someone who rents where they live and rents out places that they own, I always think about the question, which is better, renting or buying? I'll give you a new perspective as to why one may be better than the other. So in this video, I want to settle once and for all the argument of renting or buying, which is better. Now, before we jump into a full breakdown of the numbers, I think it's important to realize that no two people have the exact same situation. People choose their living situation based on emotion and finances. So we're reviewing why apartment renting or buying a home is better depending on what your living situation is or what you want it to be. Where you decide to live is influenced by more than just price, right? So think about it. You may want to live somewhere based on, is it close to work? You may also choose to live somewhere based on your kids. How's the school district? Or you may just choose to live somewhere based on the entertainment around. The nearest bar, movie theater, gym, so whatever the case may be. So it's not just price that determines where you want to live. But let's talk about some of the reasons why renting may be better than actually buying a home. For example, when you're renting, you don't really have to deal with things like this. Because once you leave, you leave. Everything here is up to the responsibility of the owner. They gotta take care of the mess. Also, when you're renting, major things like repairs, you don't have to deal with. You know, broken door, not your problem, right? So, maintenance aren't your problem. That's for the homeowner, the landlord. See, there's a peace of mind that you get with a renter, knowing that there's just certain repairs that you just don't have to do. For example, broken stove, not your problem. Now, besides maintenance requests such as stoves, roofs, boilers, not being a responsibility of the tenant, there's also some other benefits that you get as well when it comes to being a renter. For one, with renting, you got a lot more flexibility. So while homeowners are tied into a 30-year mortgage that they have to pay over a long time, renters generally 1 to 2 year lease. And they could just move on to the next apartment once they're done or they're unhappy. And as far as financials, renters also have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to making money. See, they may not be tied into a mortgage. If they're paying a cheaper rent than they would be paying instead of paying a mortgage, they have the ability to invest that extra lump sum of money in things like index funds, crypto, or even REITs without having the responsibility of actually owning a property. Now, as I mentioned before, this very house would cost me $175,000 as the down payment alone. Now, if I was renting this house for $4,800 per month, it would cost me roughly about $57,000 to rent it for 1 whole year. Not only is that way cheaper, but also once you do put that down payment, you still have a mortgage to pay. Compared to the rental who pays that $50,000 for that 1 year, moves on, no responsibilities as far as maintenance, taxes, insurance, and they have a lot more flexibility. Now, before we jump ahead of ourselves, let's not forget, as homeowners, you kind of have a lot of perks as well too. See, as a homeowner, you have a lot more flexibility yourself too, because you don't have a landlord or property manager telling you what pets you can't have, when you can use the backyard, who you can have over as guests. The place is yours. You do whatever you want with it. And while we're talking about flexibility, let's also not forget that as a homeowner, you also have the ability to rent out your home. Right? So while renters may say, I can get up and leave when I want, technically homeowners can do the same thing. They could get up and leave and rent out their entire home or their apartment to someone else to help pay for that mortgage. Now, let's get into the numbers. Although it would cost $175,000 for a down payment to buy this very house in New York City, I will get a fixed rate mortgage. Versus renting, your rent will always go up. And all the money that you pay for rent doesn't go anywhere. You don't get that back. When you're paying a mortgage, the money just doesn't disappear. While you're paying down on that mortgage, you're building something called equity. And now when you go to sell a home, let's say it appreciated, you can actually make money while living there, and you had the opportunity to have a fixed rate monthly payment, and your monthly payment doesn't go up like it does every year with rent. Which is better? Now, it really depends on what your goals are, short term or long term. If I'm being honest, in the short term, renting may be the better option. But if you're looking for long term things like generational wealth, then home ownership will always win in the long run. Eventually, that mortgage will be paid off and you won't have any more monthly payments besides taxes and insurance. Now you could rent out that home that you once bought and make money off of it and not have to worry about it once it's paid off. Versus renting, you would always have to pay rent, which will always be increasing and never go away. So what are your goals, long-term or short-term? Which is better, renting or buying? Now, whichever one you decide to do, whether you're gonna be a renter or decide to participate in home ownership, check this video out so you can find out 7 questions you should ask your next real estate agent so you're prepared on whichever journey you take. See you in the next video. Peace.